What does it mean to be a woman of the league?
I think we're the backbone.
He called me and he's just like, I got traded. And I was like, wait, what?
My heart is racing.
I feel like I need to protect him, you know, from other people sometimes.
My DMs get filled up with even like death threats. The good old word, prenup.
I'm glad you said it and not me.
Watching him follow his dreams, it made me want to like, okay, like I want to get my shit together.
What do you see your TikTok comments? You're having a baby right now.
We are like 5 words away from rapping people.
Join us on the next episode. Welcome back. I'm your host, 𝐲𝐫𝐬𝐪, and with me here today is Allison Rochelle, Kim Jackson, Kristen Harper, and Whitney Reisner. We started talking about social media, and it's such a big topic that affects everybody, so I really wanted to focus on that. I think, obviously, in addition to being NFL wives, what connects all of you is that you have such a big presence on social media. And I think we can all agree that we struggle with social media, and there's very much a love-hate relationship to it. Why do you think that we have this love-hate relationship with social media?
I feel like for so many people, social media brings together so many people. So there's so many positives, but then with that comes a lot of negatives. Like the more people you have access to, that's just gonna bring in more good and bad. So I think there's so much high and there's so much low, and that's just the nature of social media.
Right, and because we can share so much of our life, I feel like it's comforting in one way that we can see other people going through the same things or learning about the same things, or in the same way, on the contrary, we have a lot more people's opinions, and we also have a lot more comparison because we do see so many people's other lives and what other people have going on, and their day-to-day may look different than our day-to-day. So there's a lot of comparison, but then there's also some inspiration, there's some learning, so it's just got two faces of the same coin.
Do you feel like because you use social media, you kind of just like, you got to take the good with the bad?
Absolutely. I feel like there are so many pros to the cons. I feel like, I mean, I kind of grew my audience based off of the horrible connotations that people have of me because I'm an NFL wife. Mm-hmm. I mean, I started off social media with like joking around about being a gold digger and like only marrying him for his money, just to like bring some lightheartedness to like the subject. And I think with me joking about it, it made me more comfortable to like talk to my audience, and now I feel like it's this community where if I'm talking about my husband getting cut from the Browns and I'm emotional about it, people are like, oh my God, like now I see how it affects like you, but you also still have people like, oh my God, you're crying, I can't cry for somebody that like their husband makes money. I think there's a positive light into being vulnerable, and I feel like it's something I love. Because yeah, like on camera, I could be showing all the great parts of life and traveling and going to NFL games, but people don't see, you know, the not perfect moments, and that's after a game like that my husband didn't play in. Like I went to the game, he was sitting in a box. It was very tough mentally, and it made me feel like I don't belong, but you could have just seen on social media like me going to a game and enjoying that. I wish that when I was growing up, I had somebody to look up to that showed both the good parts and the bad parts.
What were you going through when you were growing up that you wish you had someone talking about that you could relate to?
Oh my gosh, I dealt so much with horrible cystic acne and perceiving myself in such a negative light and like my body, and I just was not confident in that. And that's when I looked up to influencers on YouTube, and I really found like so much comfort in watching girls like go out to a grocery store without makeup on when they had like a horrible breakout. I was like, oh my God, they're so brave. And it inspired me to want to do that now that I'm older and that maybe my skin has cleared up, but showing other parts that maybe somebody else is dealing with.
I think you guys deal with so much on social media, and it doesn't matter how great you are at blocking out the noise. I mean, we're only human. So how does social media affect your mental health?
I think it comes in waves. Like Allison said, you know, there's always gonna be hate. Someone's always gonna not like what you're doing. And so I feel like for me, I go through phases where I'm like, I could read any comment right now and I'm just gonna blow it off. I'm gonna be fine. And then I read one comment about like someone doesn't like my outfit or something, and I'm like having a bad day, and I'm like, man, like, you know, that's such a simple comment, but you know, not gonna be acknowledging what people really say, like the deeper, the worse comments, but you'll see something that's like, wow, that really, really hurt, whether it's about your appearance or about who you are as a person. It's like, man, that like really hurt my feelings. And then, you know, kind of starts a spiral where I'll go through times where I'm like, that comment like just is in the back of my head and I'm like, wow, like that really affected me, you know, even like subconsciously, like I'm really thinking about that now.
What are those comments that affect you in that way? Because, you know, if someone makes, as you said, if someone makes a comment about your outfit, maybe you dismiss that one because you don't put much weight in that. But what are the ones that you do put weight in?
Yeah, I would say like about my relationship, who I am as a person. When, you know, people think I prioritize certain things and like, you know, like you're shallow, you say you do this or whatever. And it's like, man, like if you only knew my heart in this, if you only knew like, yeah, I might have posted a funny joking TikTok, but like that was me making light of the situation of, you know, like I had all these things going on this week that, you know, I was just trying to make light of something else, you know? So I think like the ones that get me the most are probably not necessarily like a certain comment, but like timing, you know, if I'm going through some things on my own, and even if it's just a simple, shallow comment about what I look like, it's gonna send me.
Yeah, I mean, like, definitely the comments affect me, but I think even just consuming social media and consuming content can get really hard for everyone. I feel like in the past year, I've really tried to limit my time spending on, especially, there's certain platforms to me that are harder than others. Like for me, TikTok is kind of an escape, and I feel like I'm learning things, but sometimes Instagram can feel so
Curated
and perfect, and I'm always like, well, dang, this person's doing that, and they're doing that, and I'm just sitting here at home it can make you feel like you're not doing enough, and you're never enough. And so I think that's the other side of the coin, is not just the comments, because for sure I get those too, but it's just my own consumption of it that can get really tough.
That is really hard. I try to limit it as well, and then I'll find myself on. I'm like, no, not today. I said I wasn't going to do it today. Yeah. When you guys feel, you know, when those comments do get to you, Whitney, when you are having that bad day, does it affect what you put on social media? Are you showing that, or are you using social media to escape?
I struggle with that a lot too, like just knowing whether or not I can share with my audience how much I go through, or like if I just had a bad day. And it's like you said, it's kind of hard to complain about having a bad day because it seems trivial to someone else when they're dealing with other things that are so much more significant. And I feel like we've just gotten into a pattern of like trying to compare struggles and like compare hardships, and something can be hard for me, it can be hard, and something else can be hard for you. And like that doesn't mean that we both can't feel some way, and we both can't be upset about it, and we both can't want different for ourselves. And I just think like there's always someone doing better than me, there's always someone doing worse than you. Like I just feel like we should all be able to share our struggles and it not need to be a competition as to like who's suffering more. Like it doesn't need to be that.
It's kind of like if you share that you're going through a hard time, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Right.
So it's like you're gonna take the good with the bad.
Exactly.
Have you ever taken the plunge and been vulnerable online?
I need to be better at it for sure, but I think TikTok is a place where I've been a little more myself, and I've just felt more comfortable to, you know, branch out and be a little more relaxed and casual. I think with Instagram for so long, it's been my like portfolio for modeling, and it's what has booked me jobs. And so having that curated kind of look of like no bad pictures is kind of ingrained in me just from doing it for so long. So I'm still having a hard time with Instagram, but I feel like going on live on TikTok and just like getting to know people, it's a lot easier, kind of almost starting fresh on a new platform.
Right. Back to what you said about like having the perfect feed and stuff, I feel like sometimes it's hard for me to find like that middle ground, just because I guess for me personally, I just feel like I didn't come onto my phone to like hear everyone crying about their problems either. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't want to get on social media and just feel drained. And like when like something crazy happens in the world and like, you know what I mean? I sometimes have to take a break because I'm like, oh my gosh, my feed today has been just like so sad. So it's like there's just a hard in between of not having everything look perfect, but then also let's not all just cry on the internet.
It's true. It's like,
know what I mean?
I feel like your platform is such an escape where you can go and be inspired and like see these beautiful things. Like you're right. Like I think I was not even thinking about that.
Right.
I feel like I follow so many accounts
right,
like
right.
that.
That are like, oh, that's so nice, so
just is
peaceful, and now I'm just like
relaxed.
in a tranquil space. I agree. So it's like, it's just hard to find that, and it comes back to the damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing. You just kind of pick what you want to do and run with it, and just hope for the best. But that's also like how I try to make my videos aesthetic and like look like, oh, that's so nice, and like go to like a nice,
very relaxing.
yeah, like a nice Frank Ocean song. It's like, oh, you know what I mean, just like chilling, and just like, I don't want you to think that my life is perfect, but I'm making these videos look nice because I want to make a nice video. So it's like, I don't know. And I also feel like, I understand that I want to be relatable to girls. And like, if you DM me, like I'm always gonna have a real conversation with you, and like I'll get vulnerable in my stories. But like, I also feel like it's not my responsibility to teach you that life isn't perfect for anybody. You know what I mean? Like, we should all know as humans, we should all have that empathy that we know that people are going through struggles behind closed doors. Why do I have to blast it on social media for a bunch of people to see, for you to understand that my life isn't perfect? You know what I mean?
So true.
Is there one comment that sticks out for each of you? Like for me, I mean, and I don't have the presence that you guys have on social media, but I remember one time someone said something about my kids and how like, something to the effect like, oh, I feel so sorry for your kids to have you and your husband as, you know, their mom and dad, something like that. And that was, well, just because as a new mom, you just take everything very personally. So that's just the one thing that sticks out to me that I was like deeply affected by. And I thought about it for a really long time, even though I knew there was no weight in it. It was dumb. But I still remember it. Is there one comment like that that just really sticks out to you?
I think for me, when I'm gonna get emotional because this really bothers me, but you can come at my looks, you can come at like the money thing and all of that, but when you come at like my character, like I really care about people. And so I think the comments that bother me the most are, my heart is racing. The comments that bother me the most are when people compare our lifestyle of moving around all the time to that of somebody who is a military spouse, because I could never compare like him going out there and like fighting for our country, and with Isaac's brother being in the Air Force, those are the comments that I can't even, like, it makes me feel guilty for even like talking about that, because I'm like, yeah, like I do get to be with my husband, like my husband's like not out there like risking his life, like sure he's putting his body out on the football field, but that's not even comparable. And so coming at like that, I feel like guilty for like sharing that. And I think that's the comments where it's not like a hate comment towards me. It's just like, shit, like I don't ever want somebody to like think that I would ever think that our struggle is the same.
Right. Right.
I think that, you know, you're all in like such really healthy, wonderful marriages, which is so nice to see and be around women who are in happy relationships. It really is like a breath of fresh air. But when you are in those really wonderful relationships, I feel like so many times I'd rather take the hurt and the blunt of it than anybody in my family. So all of your husbands are on display every Sunday, and they do receive so much hate on social media, which is hilarious because most of the people that are hating on them have never played a down of football in their lives.
I didn't even make varsity, okay?
Yeah, I mean, that's just like a whole other thing. But how do you deal with that hate, which sometimes you'd rather take it on your own than see them take it?
Oh, much rather, yeah. Like if I get a comment about Dalton, like I delete and block immediately. Like I get so defensive. Like, but with me, I'm like, you know, like if it's about really anything, I'm like, just leave it. It'll boost the algorithm or something. People can see it, it's fine. But if it's about Dalton, like I will literally instantly block, delete, which I don't always look through my comment section for good reason. But when I do, like if I see something about him, it just triggers me so much more because it is that like protectiveness where you're like, say anything you want about me, like I'll take it to the chin, but like, you don't know him. Like, he's such a good man. Like, don't talk about him like that. Like,
Yeah, I definitely feel like I turn into Mama Bear when I feel like Jeffrey's being attacked in any way, shape, or form. And I feel like it usually has to do with football is usually always the comment. So it's like you said, it's just like you don't know him. And like, I would never get on the internet and talk about like your son or your friend and like how they're doing. So like, why are you talking shit? It just really frustrates me, and I just immediately get so mad. And like, before I really understood that like Twitter is just a dark place, so you just don't go on Twitter.
Oh,
just
I'm so curious though, as a quarterback fiance, just because I know so many people can blame an entire loss on a specialty quarterback, kicker, like they can just blame it so easily. So I'm so curious to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I get a lot of like comments too. Like I'll get DMs after a hard loss, or you know, if the game didn't go a certain way, like I'll get DMs and I'm just like, okay, I don't know, like some of them are like, I can't even say them, like they're so bad. Like can't even imagine typing it out and sending it. I have to refrain everything in my body from like Googling the person and finding out where they work. Like sometimes I do, and I like send them a screenshot, like I know where you work. But I just like, it's so hard to imagine being in that bad of a place or care that much about a football game that you're not even playing in.
Yeah.
I just, it's hard to even understand. So you just have to imagine that those people are like really going through it. But yeah, I feel protective and I want to go, like Jared's like, do not comment back.
You mentioned in one of our previous conversations that you've received death threats. Even.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, like, or even like, I can't even say it, but like even like future kids, like people are crazy, and it's just like, it's just disgusting.
There's like no line for them.
Exactly.
Like, they're not even crossing a line. It's like the line isn't even drawn. And
And again, I think these people just think that their comments aren't read, and it's just like, you're writing it. Why do you think that? Do you think it just like goes and floats away into like, it goes somewhere and someone might read it. So why would you even take the risk of writing something that horrible if you think it could possibly be read?
Why are you even thinking it?
Truly, I'm like, you're sick. Yeah, you should probably go to some therapy. It's a little disturbing.
Yeah. Have you ever felt like your security's been threatened?
I think it's mostly just, you know, guys they've lost their fantasy game and now they have to do some stupid prank, or, you know, they have to do something stupid. Like they're just annoyed and they're pissed in the moment and they're probably been drinking all day. So I haven't ever taken it like super seriously, thank goodness. But that would be horrifying if it was an actual threat.
Yeah, I will say it's hard when, you know, I view social media as like something I love doing, but it's also can be a career, and it's hard when you're moving around cities and there's only so many apartment complexes and all of that. But I think that the NFL does a good job in like being, you know, taking security measures and like helping you along. I feel like they always have like a contact if you're ever worried about something like that, and they take that very seriously.
For you specifically, Allie, because Isaac is very active on Twitter, how do you guys handle these hate comments? Like, is it a conversation that you had before? Because Isaac did defend you recently in a TikTok video. So what prompted him at that point to speak up?
It's funny because we all talk about like defending like our guys like out in the field, but somebody accused me of not being able to be upset over the fact that my husband got released, and a guy made a TikTok, and he doesn't respond to a lot of hate comments because he's like, okay, like he doesn't put weight in their words, which I'm jealous of. But the one thing that I think struck a nerve with him is that they said that I wasn't allowed to be upset because it wasn't like I was getting released. And Isaac made a video saying, well, yeah, actually, as a married man, like, yeah, my wife did get released. Like, her identity, not her whole identity, but like a part of her life is here in Cleveland, and that's with me. It's like when you're married, you see each other as a team. So if something bad were to happen to me, Isaac would be upset over that too. And it's outside of football as well. Like, if you're in a marriage where you guys support each other, like, the hate comments will bother me for like that are left on Isaac's page, and the same for him. So he came to my defense, and I thought it was adorable. I was like, you didn't have to do that. But it's also like I make videos where I'm like, what do you mean my husband's bad at football?
Are there rules that you guys kind of put in place for yourselves to cope with the magnitude of social media?
I feel like for me, I just, like you had said, I don't really look through the comments. Like, there might be 4 or 5 that I see. And then obviously if a video blows up, you know, you might see a few comments in your notifications, but it's a negative thing to weigh into the good and the bad. So it's like just staying off of it has helped me so much. Like, I'll have my friends, when I first started doing social media, because I haven't been doing social media very long, they would text me and be like, hey, like, did you see, like, there's a bunch of comments on your video about this? And I would just be like, I didn't, because I'm not weighing into either side of that. Like, you know, if people are sitting there talking about my character or my appearance or whatever, or my husband or who I am, good or bad, like, I shouldn't care, because either way, they don't know me. They don't know me at all or who I am.
I go through waves when I'm starting to feel that like feeling creeping in of like being affected by things from social media. That's when I kind of take a step back and I'm like, okay, I need to like spend more time not looking at this.
And when you say affected by social media, what affects you?
The comments and just like people like doing, I mean, amazing things and like comparing yourself and doing those things, like just people outside of yourself. Like we're just in this world where we're seeing so much, and even like news and all these different things. We just have access to so many things, and we're not made to see all of this. We're not made to see all these negative things in one day. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes you just need to take a step back and like it's a lot.
For sure. And I mean, I resonate with you. I also do the same thing. For about 1.5 years now, I don't let myself go on social media until I do my daily devotion in the morning. Mm-hmm. And then I try my best to listen to 3 praise songs before I get on social media as well. Having Jace, that doesn't always happen, but I try to make sure that I at least listen to 3 praise songs like just throughout the day. And I feel like waiting to go on social media until after I do my devotion, it just helps ground me, helps me realize like, okay, if I don't have the time to sit down for 15 minutes and like get my thoughts together, then I shouldn't be scrolling and like consuming a bunch of other people's life, you know what I mean? And like you said, even if it's not like negative and even if it's not us comparing ourselves, like why am I spending the first hour of my day involving myself in everyone else's life? You know what I mean? Like let me put my thoughts into my own life and kind of think about what I need to do for myself throughout the day before I just start sucking in what's going on in so-and-so's life and so-and-so's life and so-and-so's life for no reason, and I just open my eyes type of thing.
Allie, speaking of setting a boundary, you know, for you guys, social media is very much a business. And like you were talking about earlier with Isaac and your businesses, you had to set boundaries. Like, we're not going to talk about Airbnb, you know, when we are going to bed. So do you guys set boundaries for yourselves with social media, treating it as a business?
I think Whitney and I were just talking about it earlier this week, is that you can put so much emphasis on like, oh my God, like this content isn't doing well and blah, blah, blah. So it can make you feel self-conscious. So I think even setting boundaries and like, yes, it's a business and it's a job, and I want to validate that, but also it's like, how did you become on social media in the first place? Because for me, I use it as an outlet. Like I loved posting funny videos, and I thought it was more fun than anything. And that was way before I ever started working with brands that are now a dream. But I think like bringing yourself back to that is like, why did you start in the first place? Yeah. I think it's more so that than like putting boundaries. But of course, having boundaries is necessary. Right.
You know, when Dawn gets home at night, my phone's away. You know what I mean? Like we're putting my phone up, your phone up, like getting time together, because I feel like when it is that, you can feel like, okay, I need to be doing this 24/7. You know, tonight I need to be looking at this, or, you know, but like still treating that as a job and saying, no, if I was going to work, I would come home at 5, 6 o'clock and I would give my time to you or the house or other things that need to get done. So like that's a boundary that I have like had to create, because it can just be like, oh, you know, I'm in bed, well, I'm gonna scroll on my phone. But like, you know, also I haven't seen
home a football.
Yeah, exactly, and I haven't seen Doll all day. So setting that boundary and making time for other things too.
Have you ever felt that social media kind of permeates every aspect of your life, like going to dinner and trying to spend time with your significant other, but hold on, wait a second, we need to get, you know, the perfect picture, or we need to photograph that plate before you eat it, or getting a video in, like, is it also just kind of permeating the personal, intimate moments of your life?
I feel like it's as much as you let it. Like, I have a best friend who is killer at social media. She's really good at social media, and she is just like, she takes it and posts it and like doesn't think about it. Like, I think it is however you do it. Like, you can really just be in the moment and present and take things and post it, or take it and do it later. I think there's ways to do it that can keep you present and still have you do your job and do great at it. I'm not great at it. Like, I'm like, wait, I need to redo that. So for me, it's not great. But for some people, it's so easy, and it's...
Yeah, I feel like it's like me being vulnerable allows me to be like real. It's like, oh, if I'm doing a video because I'm like, oh, I wanted to do a date night vlog and our plates are empty. I'm like, oh, fuck, like I literally didn't record anything. It's literally just like recording that, because I think that's funny. Right. I'm like, oh, here I am trying to be Little Miss Perfect, and like I clearly am like not. Right. So I think it's even showing that on social media.
Yeah, and I mean, Jeffrey also helps with things, like even if we're going on a date night, we both kind of do it together, and he'll be like, oh, Kim, like, that's a good shot. And I'm like, oh, you're right. And like, I'll set it up and we'll do it. So it's like, for us, it doesn't take away because we both do it, and he kind of helps me out, and he calls me like he calls himself my creative director. So I'm like, this angle's cute, Kim, and I'm like, okay, cool. So for us, it doesn't take away, but I do understand that, like, if you're with someone who isn't really involved in social media and it's more annoying or something, that you do kind of have to understand that and definitely like take time away from that and give them your attention. But yeah, it just depends. Like you said, it just kind of depends on the circumstances and how you go about it and who you're with.
How much of what you guys post on your social media is dictated by how well it does versus what you just want to put on social media?
I struggle with this so hard because growing up, I never did social media. So like, I had 100 friends on, Instagram that I would joke around and post funny pictures with, but like, I never like took it seriously until like about a year ago. I was just like posting fun videos of Dalton and I on game day or, NFL content, and it like did really well. And so, my TikTok grew to what it is now in like less than a year. And so for me, I started out with like doing NFL content, but it's tough because that's like not all I want to post, like that's what people want to see, that's what people enjoy, but at the same time, like that's not the content I really enjoy at the moment. Like I would like to post, other things I care about, but when I post other things I care about, like they don't do as well because my followers don't want to see that. They don't want to see what outfit I had on. They want to see what Dalton and I do before games or, NFL content. So it's tough, like also respecting, I'm so grateful for everyone that follows me and respecting that they follow me to see what they want to see. So like I want to give them that, but at the same time, like I feel like there's been a lot of burnouts recently because I'm just like, I don't know what to post because like this isn't what's like driving me or making me happy at the moment. So it's tough. Allie and I had this conversation in the car the other day. It's tough. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to see what you guys think and how you guys handle that.
So I have two things on this. So first, when I was still running track in college, I posted on Instagram and stuff, and like I obviously posted pictures that I thought were cute, but it wasn't like I was trying to monetize Instagram per se. I was more like, let me just get a lot of likes type of thing. So I was in track and I liked my body, and I was frequently just in spandex and a sports bra, and those were a lot of my pictures, and I would get a lot of likes. But then once I kind of was like, okay, I kind of actually like just like taking photos and stuff and like the creative side of social media. And I like looked at it, I was like, wait, I like could never monetize this because 87% of my followers were men. So I was like, no brand is gonna like reach out to me to want to promote anything if my whole audience is men. So like I need
Men's
to change.
underwear.
Right. I was like, what am I gonna be able to like promote? So then I switched up and I stopped running track and stuff, and I tried like posting just like pictures of me, and it was just like things that I was doing, and captions were just about me, and it got a lot less like body, and it was more Kim, and my engagement tanked like insanely. Like it was just terrible, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was getting unfollowed left and right. Like I lost like 5,000 followers like so fast. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I think at the time I only had like 12,000 followers. So I'm telling you, I dropped far fast.
Wow.
So I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what to do. Maybe this isn't for me. Like maybe I need to put a bikini on. But
Kristen, can you blender one?
right.
It's adjustable.
Exactly. But on a real note, I was like, okay, like I need to just, I guess, stay at it. And then from there, I was able to grow my following back, and it was like a bunch of women, and it was a huge milestone to like get to 50% women. I was like, oh my gosh, like thank God. And now I'm at 87% women.
No
Yes, right.
That's amazing.
Flipped it all the way. Thank you so much. So that was a lot of work. Thank you, right.
I think it's eventually people will be interested in that. And I think that was the hardest thing, is like allowing yourself to overcome the less likes. Cause I'm like, I know what content does well. Like I've been on TikTok for a year and a half, so I know. But I think that me sharing like, oh, this is my Airbnb and it doing a lot and getting a lot less views, but then you find people that like that. And so then it's talking to that community and growing off of that. I'm just like I'm like business.
No, I love it. Actually, I'm gonna call you and I'm going to hire you after this, Allie. Like, please help me.
I just think social media, there's always going to be a market or a niche that people are so interested in. So I'm like, yeah, even though I have a husband in the NFL, it's like, he's not all that. Like, let's talk about me. Like,
2 weeks ago, I just had a really rough 48 hours, and I wasn't crying, but I posted a picture on Instagram, and I was not looking my best, and I just gave them insight into what the last 48 hours look like, and shockingly, I got so much support.
And sometimes it's sharing after you go through it can even be powerful too. It's like, hey, I was going through this. You guys didn't even know. I was on social media, you could have thought I was feeling great, but then later down the line, you can go back and say hey, yeah, that was actually a rough day. And even that, it's you're out of it, so you're not being too vulnerable, but it's a gentle ease into it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
What scares you about it?
I mean, I think what we talked about earlier, it's hard to put yourself out there, and you don't want to come off that you're complaining about your life because you're living a privileged life. So it's just walking this line of knowing that sharing can more than likely help people, and I hope to move into that space where I can be more vulnerable, and hopefully even if it just helps one person, I think that is helpful. But I think you just always worry that you don't want to come off you're complaining about your life, or coming off I of course know that there's bigger problems than what I'm dealing with. Sure. So I think it's just walking that line.
So we know that sometimes you feel burnt out, and sometimes you're posting the content that you necessarily might not want to post, and it could take a hit on your mental health. So why not just quit?
Oh, I've been there many times.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I do quit.
All of us have kind of been there.
Yeah, and also too, just little things of, it's crazy to see how many people you impact, or, I'll get random DMs. One time I got this DM from this little girl, and I just remember her saying how she doesn't have a woman figure in her life to look up to, and how she looks up to me. And that alone was wow, that's really cool to think, this short video, whether I'm doing something silly or, I do post a lot of content about 𝙁𝙚𝙧𝙾, but I also show not just the NFL side, but how him and I can have a good, faithful relationship, and push each other in our faith, and how he's pushed me in my faith, and have a relationship where we respect each other and we make each other a priority. We're best friends,
Yeah, I feel that's what ultimately probably keeps us all kind of going, is those comments that sometimes you post something you don't even realize it's gonna affect someone. There's been so many times when I've had comments from young girls or DMs that just tell me that I've somehow instilled confidence in them, or made them feel better about themselves, or put the bikini on, or that's so stupid. But when you feel,
not stupid.
But you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you feel confident in yourself, you can just do so much more in life. And I feel having those little impacts, whether it's one person or 100, just changing that one person's day makes you keep coming back for more, and it's important.
Well, I feel furthermore, you even sharing about how you growing up had a lot of issues with your self-perception. I looked at you when I followed you. I was oh my God, she's this model. She's stunning. And so hearing that even you had an issue with body perception was kind of enlightening for me. And I'm just one person, so I'm the impact that you can have, that little bit of talking to your audience about hey, I kind of struggle with this too, but I'm really looking forward to this. It impacts a lot of people.
So I feel personally what I try to also do on social media, and the benefit of social media, is I feel growing up as a Black girl, there aren't a lot of Black healthy relationships on display. I feel there's a lot of reality TV shows and just kind of celebrity drama with Black people. And Black relationships that kind of clouded just my idea of Black love. And I mean, that's not to say that there's not bad relationships in every single race, but I just feel as a Black girl, I didn't see a lot of that. And I did grow up with my parents separated, and that's, at no fault to them, it just didn't work out. But I just didn't have a lot of relationships where I saw a girl that looked like me and a man that looked like Jeffrey, and it was cohesive and it was peaceful and it wasn't a bunch of drama and it wasn't someone talking down to one another and stuff like that. So I feel like it's really important for me to kind of instill that and show that to other Black girls and other Black boys, that like, here's an example of a relationship that like you can achieve too. I just feel like there's a lot of broken homes and stuff, and there's broken homes everywhere, like I said, but I just really kind of take that to heart and just showing that like, hey, we can do this too.
I love that. That's one of the things that I keep saying about all of you guys, how wonderful it is to be with women who are in such healthy, loving relationships, and how, unfortunately, that's just not a really catchy headline. Like, there's no, wow, look at this amazing, loving, healthy relationship. Like, you just don't see that.
0 views.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I wish that was, different, because people do need to see those examples. It's so important, because, it's just saturated with the negative. Are you nervous at all for people to see the real you?
I mean, I feel like we all, like you said, like when you're coming into something, you have the right intention. We're not trying to make anyone feel bad or do anything negative. Like, this is all a productive conversation about difficult topics. And I think that's what's most important about this. Whether people take away that it's good or bad or she's annoying or whatever, it's important just to see women talking about hard things. And I hope that just inspires people to like talk to their friends about finances or mental health. Like, I think those are the conversations that are important.
We've talked at this table about so many different things and things that were uncomfortable. We've talked about finances, we've talked about mental health, we've talked about just your vulnerability and your stories, and thank you for sharing that. But how are you hoping that Women of the League empowers other women?
I mean, I think I touched on it earlier, but I think just having these conversations are important. And I think women, whether you have anything to do or any interest in the NFL or not, seeing other women talk about hard things is really inspiring. And I hope girls go home and talk to their friends or their family members about these things, because it's important to have these discussions, and it's important to talk about mental health and finances and things that are hard, even though it's uncomfortable. Yeah. It helps, and it helps each other like understand, because it's a bigger picture. It's, it's complicated, and it's important.
I just hope that Women of the League helps empower women by just showing them that we're all more similar than we are different. And like you said, whether you're a part of the NFL or have any interest in the NFL at all, we just all go through very similar things, and we all go through the same types of insecurities, and just finding our identity, that resonates with everyone. I feel like it's just hard, and life is hard sometimes, and that doesn't, just because you're in a place of privilege in some way doesn't mean that you're in a place of privilege in all ways across the board. And I think we just, like I said, we have way more similarities than differences, and we got to understand one another, give each other grace and understanding.
For me personally, one of the things that I've really loved about our time together, and I hope that people at home, take this message with them, is that we can accomplish so much more when we come together, and when people are nice to each other and people support each other and give each other that love that we all need, that love and support that we all need. There's room at the table for everybody, and we just could be so much better if everyone lived by that. There's no need to like tear anybody down. We all benefit. When one of us does, we all do. And I think that that's one of the things that I love so much about this series, and I hope it's just something that people see. Thanks for watching. We hope that you feel empowered to have these conversations at your table. These are your Women of the League.